Yo, what's up YouTube? I'm DJ Philly and welcome to Mastercrafters. Today we are going to be looking at all of the new snapshots here on Minecraft, all of the new betas, and all of the new Bedrock updates. So let's get into another weekly update. But before we do that, I do want to actually take a quick note of the news that came out a few days ago, and that is that the Caves and Cliffs update is going to be separated into two updates, the summer update and the winter update. So the summer update will actually bring some of the new blocks and some of the new features into the game, and then the winter update will actually bring all of the new cave generation, all of the new world generation, and world height. And eventually, they're also going to add archaeology in a later update, but that will probably end up coming out next year, unfortunately. But we are considering the team's health, and I think it is a good decision to actually take the update and split it into two. That way the team at Mojang doesn't have to cram all of the features in at once, and they can get all of the bugs fixed and everything. So I think that would be cool. Anyway, for today, we actually have 13 updates here, all posted on the screen. So we're going to take a look at each one of them and see all of the new features that have been introduced. So first up, we actually have 21W11A, the snapshot here on Minecraft Bedrock. And in this snapshot here, the lightning rod is actually water loggable. So this is a pretty cool feature. We don't have any of the nasty water or anything going around the lightning rod, and now we can actually place it in our water sources as we need to. Also, in this update, we can actually wax copper through dispensers. So if we just put a button here, we actually have honeycomb in the dispenser. If we click it, then the copper is actually waxed and it will stay in this state. Now, if we want to take it out, there's also a new feature introduced in this snapshot, and you can use your axe to right click, and that will take off the wax. Also, lightning strikes, if they do come and they hit a block of copper, it can actually clean its oxidation and reverse the oxidation effect to make it a much brighter orange instead of the greens that you may see when it's getting oxidized. And those are the main features of that snapshot. We're actually going to go to 21W13A, and the main features in this snapshot for Java is that the goats are now accessible in Minecraft Java, which is a pretty awesome feature. And they also added powdered snow, which you can go into, and as you can see, the screen starts to go and starts to freeze just like it did in Minecraft Bedrock. And the player will also shake when you actually go into the powdered snow, which is a pretty cool feature. Now, with these goats, there is actually a very small percentage of a chance that you can get a screaming goat. And if you do get one of those, it's pretty hilarious. If you want to go check that out, you could go into the latest snapshot and see if you can get a screaming goat. So if I actually run this command to get a screaming goat here, we now have one of these guys, and they're going to make some pretty hilarious noises. Now, if we actually go and see here, it doesn't really give us any details about the screaming goat. But yeah, as you can see, this guy screams like crazy. So there is a 2% chance that you can get these by summoning them in the wild, and they are hilarious little fellas. And now we have 21W14A, which did not actually add that many features, but it added a pretty interesting mechanic, and that is that we now have raw ores. So this is the raw iron, raw gold, and raw copper. And you will actually be able to get these from the normal gold ore or the deep slate ore, and then also the same for the copper and for the iron. And this is because we actually have two different ore variants for basically all of the ores. So this is going to actually keep all of the drops the same so you can manage your inventory better. But the coolest thing about this is that the new raw ore materials can be fortune. So yeah, we can actually use fortune on iron, gold, and copper now, which is going to be absolutely amazing. So that way we can get a ton more materials for farms and for redstone contraptions. And also in this update, with the fully oxidized copper, we can now actually wax this, because in the last couple of updates, there was the feature where you can actually have lightning strike and deoxidize the copper. So now you can actually wax the fully oxidized variants as well, just to keep them the same. And now we are in 21W15A, and the first thing that you may have noticed is that it actually adds a new overlay. So we get a brand new Caves and Cliffs overlay feature for the main menu, and this is a pretty awesome feature. They've actually done this in the previous updates with the Village and Pillage and the Nether, so this is pretty cool that they're actually following suit with the Caves and Cliffs. Now, this update was actually when the new news of the Caves and Cliffs update was going to be split, actually, it came out. So, with this update, there are actually two variants of snapshots now. And we actually have the regular snapshots, and unfortunately, they did actually take out all of the new world generation with the new snapshots. But if we go and click on this world right here and go to edit, then we actually do have a resource pack here on this world. And that is because with the resource pack enabled, if we load up this world here, as you can see, we are using experimental settings. So if we go and actually load up the world here, we can see that we have all of the new caves and cliffs generation. Now, this is not going to be spawning in normal snapshots anymore, as they did take out all of the new world height and world generation just because they are getting ready for the summer update, which is not going to include these features. Now, if you do install this resource pack, you can enable all of these new features that are becoming in the winter update, but you will need to go to the Minecraft page and actually download the resource pack every snapshot that comes out. And we do have a tutorial on that. I will link it in the description below for you guys if you would like to actually see all of the new caves and cliffs generation and if you'd like to play with it. Now, beware, this stuff is experimental as they are actually trying to fix it for the winter update. And so it might be a bit buggy, but hopefully you guys will like it as we do have two variants of snapshots now. Also, within these snapshots, we have gotten a raw block here. So as you can see, we have the raw iron, raw gold, and raw copper. And then we also have raw blocks as well. Now, they're basically the same as a normal copper or gold or iron block, which actually uses 9 of the material. But now you can craft up raw materials to make these blocks, and they have been going through some texture changes, so they might look a bit different in the future, but I think this is a pretty awesome idea, and we actually have a few new blocks in the game. And now we have the last snapshot for today, 21W16A, and there are two notable features in this update. First up, we actually do have the azalea bushes, but they can now be bone mealed and actually make azalea trees, and you can do this with the regular azalea as well. Now, if you didn't know this, with the moss block that was included in a few snapshots ago, you can actually bone meal this and you can actually eventually get a azalea like one of these on top when you bone meal it. So as you can see, we do have grass, but if we just break it and try and keep trying here, we can actually get an azalea. So when we bone meal the azalea, we get a tree. And so this can actually make a fully automatic tree farm. So this is a pretty awesome feature that has been introduced. Also, another feature that has been introduced is that if you have water underneath a dripstone block, which has a pointed dripstone on it, the pointed dripstone can actually grow by itself. So if we were to set the random tick speed here to 10,000, we can actually see that it's going to start growing. And as you could see, it actually starts to grow. Now, it does take a long time because I did have to increase the random tick speed, but you can actually have some fun here. So yeah, the pointed dripstone is now a renewable block that we can get as it grows by itself, but unfortunately it is very slow, and so it will take a while. Okay, and as you could tell from the top of the screen, we are now in Minecraft Bedrock in the betas. So we actually have 1.16.220.52. And this feature actually has added the new world height limit. So if we go over into the sky, we actually have the new world height limit of 320, and we can go all the way down to negative 64, which is pretty awesome. This update has also added all of the new blocks that were in Java. So we have, of course, the Spore Blossom, the Glowing Berries, the Glow Lichen, the Rooted Dirt, and of course the Hanging Roots, the Big Drip Leaf, and the Blossoming Azalea, along with the regular Azalea, and their leaves of variants as well. And then we also have the Moss Block and the Moss Carpet. All of these features have been introduced in Java for a little while now, and now we actually have them in Bedrock. And I've taken all of this land out with commands, and as you can see, we do have all of the new generation going all the way down here. So yeah, this is how tall the world height limit is going to be now, and it's going to be absolutely crazy with all of the new caves introduced in the update. I just realized I actually made a tiny mistake here. 1.16.230.50 actually introduced the Glow Lichen, which was the update after all of these features came and the new world height limit and everything came. So this was actually introduced in its own beta, and that was basically it for the next beta that we were supposed to do. Now we're on to 1.16.230.52, and this update has actually put in axolotls into Minecraft Bedrock. So these guys were previously in Java, and we actually had some fun in a previous update, actually going through all of the new features with these axolotls, but now they are showing their cuteness and adorableness on Minecraft Bedrock, and yeah, they actually do look pretty cool. They're swimming around in the river, and that was one of the major updates in this beta. And the other major update is that we actually have all of the deep slate covered in this beta. So now that we actually have all of the deep slate bricks, deep slate blocks, and ores now available in Minecraft Bedrock, they were previously in Java. And also in this update, you may have seen it when we went down into this massive hole here, but deep slate chunks are actually going to generate. So there's going to be little chunks of deep slate generating around Y level 16, as you can see here. So this is where you're going to actually get some deep slate ore in the summer update. And now we're on to 1.16.230.54. Now, this update did not actually give us any new features, but they did give us some bug fixes. So previously with the axolotls, when you used a lead on them, they were actually broken here. So if we actually get a lead out and try to use them on the axolotls, as you can see, the positioning and everything is right and it's fixed. And they also fixed this for glow squid as well. They also fixed some other major bugs, but there wasn't actually any new features in this beta. And that is the case for the next beta 1.16.230.56. This is actually introduced some other bug fixes as well, with the visibility of actually seeing underwater in caves. So if we go down into this cave here, it's going to actually be a lot better to see, especially with the glow lichen glowing around us. And for the final beta of today, 1.17.0.50, we actually have the first 1.17 beta out for Minecraft Bedrock. And this update has added all of the amethyst blocks and the gems that we previously had in Java. And they're now going to generate in the areas underground as well. We actually do have the smooth basalt, tough, and calcite generating in the world as well. And we do have tinted glass, which, if you didn't know, actually blocks light. And this is going to be an actual feature. As you can see, when we look down underneath, it actually blocks the light from coming in. So this is a pretty cool new block. And also a new feature is, of course, the spy glass. So if we actually use this to look over to that village, it's basically Optifine on steroids. It's absolutely amazing. And so we can see very far out into the world and check out what is in our render distance so that we don't actually need to use some third-party mechanics or anything anymore. We can actually use the spyglass in game and look all the way out to see what is in the world. And finally, for today, we did have two small Bedrock releases, which is 1.16.220, and it did fix some bug fixes along with adding a awesome feature here. So if we actually place a sign correctly down here and say something like hello, we can use dyes to actually dye the color of the sign. So this is a pretty awesome way. Now it does appear that it is not very clear on what the color is actually, but if we were to actually go and add it, we do not actually have to use the section sign. So previously, we actually had to use a symbol that looks like this, and I do believe that it actually still works within this update. Yep, so we can use the section sign, or we can actually dye with the dyes in the game. So well, maybe that is a bug. Maybe it doesn't work, but it does look like it is not very clear in these updates. I'm not really sure. And the final update to cover for today, holy cow, did we cover a lot, is 1.16.221, and there is one major bug fix in this update. So in the previous update, we actually had a bug where paintings were not visible, and so this was an actual fix to fix that. So now we actually have paintings visible in our worlds, and we can see them, and we can place them to our heart's content. So, holy cow, was that a lot of updates and stuff. Sorry that it was a big video and that I was actually supposed to get this video out like 4 weeks ago, but we covered all of the updates. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching and sticking around. It's going to be an awesome time looking through all of the 1.17. And with the news of the update splitting into two, of course, we're going to still look up all the snapshots and we're still going to cover all of the new stuff, even as the winter update comes around. So make sure to look out for that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And if you do like it, make sure to give it a like and maybe consider subscribing because that helps the channel out a lot. So anyway, thank you guys and have an amazing rest of your day.